Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Nanice, and this is your astrology reading for the full moon in Capricorn, which is happening on Wednesday, July the 13th at 8:38 p.m. Cairo, Egypt time. A full moon is a time of heightened emotion. It is a time of culmination and illumination. It's bringing things into, it's lighting up a specific part of the chart, in this case, the Capricorn part of the sky, and it is bringing it to our awareness. So thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. Please like, please share, please comment. All these actions help to support my channel grow. So, and I don't advertise this channel. I'm just letting it grow organically. So your support means so much to me. To all those who have subscribed and liked and commented and shared, I appreciate you so much. So this full moon is happening in the Capricorn part of the sky, and what that means for you specifically depends upon your unique natal chart. And finding out what your rising sign is super important for the accuracy of this reading. If you'd like to know what your rising sign is, you can contact me. I can help you figure that out for free. I will also put in a free online calculator for your rising sign in the description box below. So I'm going to start off with the collective reading, and then I'm going to go through each individual zodiac sign. I highly urge you to use your rising sign, not your sun sign. So here we go. So this full moon in Capricorn is going to be, I'm not going to lie, a rather intense full moon. For several reasons, partially because the moon is not very happy in the sign of Capricorn. It's quite uncomfortable there, and it's also partly because the moon is very close to the planet Pluto, and that's the first contact that it's going to make is with Pluto, which is a planet that's about death, transformation, transformation through things falling apart. It's about purging, it's about releasing, it's about unleashing hidden power or uncovering hidden power. It's about things that are hidden underneath the surface. Pluto's a planet that makes small things big and big things small. It is like nuclear power, for example. That's a Plutonian thing. Like something so small, such as like atoms, making something so big and destructive. Pluto's also can be thought of like bat poop. That's also like a Pluto type thing. It's like bat poop is like one of the most toxic substances on this planet. However, it's also one of the the best fertilizers on this planet as well. So there's like life and death. So it's like this transformational process related to Pluto, and one that may not be particularly pleasant. It can make some people feel uncomfortable, depending on what your relationship is with Pluto. So this full moon is going to be like Pluto flavored. So that gives me the idea of this intensity. And full moons are already a moment of intensity because it's a moment, as I said, of heightened emotion. So depending upon how you've been dealing with Plutonian topics, because Pluto is a lot about it's about power. So it's about whether you're in your relationship to power. So if you've been spiritually active, if you've been having conversations with God and knowing where the source of power is coming from and what your relationship is to that, I have a feeling you'd have a kind of healthy relationship with Pluto and the changes that have taken place over the years, but also the changes that are coming to light right now. If you are one that plays victim or doesn't really have a healthy relationship with who's in power, then maybe this full moon can be experienced as slightly more unpleasant. So it all depends upon your perspective. God never gives us anything that is bad for us. He always gives us what we need, what our souls need. That may not be what we want, but it is exactly what we need, what is the best for us. So keep that in mind through this period of this full moon. So another thing that I noticed about this time is that things to do with beauty or love, relationships, especially relationships with women, children, or things that you find pleasant. These things can either be a little bit challenging at this time, or it could be like flavored or shrouded with an air of mystery, or like it's very perhaps very good for things to do with mysticism or spirituality. Maybe like you feel motivated and creative in that sense, but it may not be that great for like romance and things like that. Could or even self-image could be challenged during this time. If you are someone who struggles with body image, this could be a challenging time for around this full moon. So that's so yes, this full moon is about shedding light upon something that's been hidden perhaps, and Pluto's been in Capricorn since around 2008, and we are now at the final portion. Pluto's a very slow moving planet. So Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. So look back at your life from 2008 and notice what because Pluto transformed that part of the sky for you. So I believe this is like a kind of crescendo moment of the past, how many years? 14 years. So yeah, there's something's been going on the last 14 years, and it's like, this is the kind of, you get it now, kind of highlighting moment. So pay attention to that. So it's a revelatory full moon. It's an intense full moon. And it is one where it's kind of maybe a little bit tough, but I feel very valuable. Pluto is also a planet that's symbolic of riches. So it's an intense yet rich full moon. So I'm going to go through, that's all I have for the collective portion of this reading. I'm going to go through each individual zodiac sign. I highly urge you to find out your rising sign. And I'm going to start off with Aries. So this full moon is happening in your 10th house of career, public reputation, what you're known for in the public, honors, privileges, social advancements, and how you spend your time, what you are known in the world for. So if you don't have a career, maybe it's your stay-at-home parent or a caregiver. You don't have to have a career for this full moon to mean something to you. So there's going to be a highlighting or an illuminating having to do with those topics. For Taurus, this full moon is happening in your 9th house of God, higher education, spirituality, mysticism, astrology, law, politics, long distance trips, pilgrimages, foreign places, foreign people, foreign things. So there's going to be an illuminating and a highlighting and a revelatory moment having to do with those topics. For Gemini, this full moon is happening in your 8th house of obligations, joint assets, taxes, loans, debts, inheritances, karmic debts, such as someone owing something to you, or you feeling like you owe something to someone. It doesn't have to be a material thing. It can just be something or a feeling or an action. It's also the house of death and transformation. So with this double whammy of like Pluto being death and transformation and the 8th house, I feel this full moon's going to be quite intense for Geminis. Although it's not happening in a very active part of the sky for you, I just because of the relevance of the topics, I feel it's going to bring about a revelatory moment having to do with those topics, and perhaps it's been going on since 2008. For Cancer, this full moon is happening in your 7th house of partnerships, spouse, one-on-one relationships, romantic relationships, business partnerships such as one-on-one client relationships, or any one-on-one relationship. This full moon is going to bring a culmination, an illumination, and a revelatory moment having to do with those topics. For Leo, this full moon is happening in your 6th house of daily routines, selfless service, sickness, hard work, toil, labor, workers, employees, and small pets. So there's going to be a culmination, a harvest, an illumination having to do with those topics. For Virgo, this full moon is happening in your 5th house of creativity, children, pregnancy, arts, recreation, hobbies, and the things that you enjoy in general. So there's going to be a culmination, an illumination, a revelatory, highlighting moment having to do with those topics. For Libra, this full moon is happening in your 4th house of foundations, home, family, parents, property, land, and things like agriculture, things from the ground. So there's going to be a highlighting, a harvest, an illumination having to do with those topics. For Scorpio, this full moon is happening in your third house of siblings, extended family, neighborhoods and neighbors, short distance trips, commutes, reading, writing, teaching, journaling, the life of the mind. So these topics are going to be highlighted for you at this time of this full moon. For Sagittarius, this full moon is happening in your 2nd house of personal possessions, money, personal resources, and movable possessions and assets. So there's going to be a highlighting, an illumination, and a culmination having to do with those topics. For Capricorn, this full moon is happening in your 1st house, which is a very personal part of the sky for you. It's a part of the sky that has to do with your body, appearance, your health, vitality, character, spirit, psychology, and life direction. So with Pluto in your 1st house since 2008, I'm sure a lot has happened to you since, and a lot of transformation having to do with your who you are, and perhaps even physically, and perhaps even in a sense of your life direction. There's been a lot of restructuring and regeneration having to do with those topics. And this full moon is kind of like the highlighting moment of what's been going on in the past 14 years or so, having to do with those topics. For Aquarius, this full moon is happening in your 12th house of hidden enemies, secrets, self-sabotage, addictions, hospitals, monasteries, retreats, prisons, isolation, and ego loss. So a kind of it's a part of the sky that represents how you can be your own worst enemy, or having to do with hidden enemies also, as I said earlier. So this full moon is going to highlight those kind of challenging topics. And with Pluto there, I'm sure Aquarians out there, since 2008 have gone through a lot of unearthing of how you can be your own worst enemy, or the enemies that were hidden to you in plain sight have kind of been purged. And this is a kind of a moment of how far you've come till now, from 2008 till now. And with the full moon there, I feel like this is the culmination moment of all that's happened since. For Pisces, this full moon is happening in your 11th house of aspirations, hopes for the future, friends, social groups, allies, benefactors. So there's going to be a fruition, a culmination, and a revelation having to do with those topics. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you'd like to book a private reading with me, you can email me. And I'm wishing you all a wonderful full moon in Capricorn, and I'll be speaking to you guys soon. Bye.